Hey everybody, it's John again from Gasper's Automotive Restoration, and today we're going to be taking the transmission out and working on the clutch on this 1951 Chevy 3600 3/4 ton pickup truck. Follow us along. Okay, so we're gonna do a quick little walk around here and just show you this truck so you can get a better view here. It's in really nice shape. There's no rust on this thing. Customer brought it in for a clutch and we've got it up on the lift. I've done a little bit of work on it. It's got bias ply tires. Hercules. And I've done a little bit of work on it to get the transmission cover off the floor. We had to buy a special tool for that. I'll explain that in a little bit. And I took the liberty of removing the drive shaft, but that's about it. Everything else is pretty much the way I got it. This truck ran and drove, but it had a chattering clutch, so we're doing that for them. Really nice shape. Not particularly my color, but to each their own. Really just solid truck. Come up underneath here. You see got the stove bolts inline 6 here. Typical Chevrolet engine of the time period. And we got the 4-speed manual transmission right up here, chained onto the transmission jack already. We're going to be taking this guy out and slide that back. Hopefully it comes out smooth. Got the master cylinder up here. As you can see, the frame, everything in here is in good condition. Got the new wood in the bed. Original rear differential, drum brakes, all totally stock. And you can see inside under the body here, it's in really nice shape. So anyway, let's get started. Boy, they didn't want that one to come out. That's pretty tight. Now I'm gonna take these 2 bottom bolts out here, and there's no worry about the transmission falling. I got the 2 top bolts on the outside to take off yet, so get these out of the way first. We don't want to be trying to take the transmission out of here and fighting, reaching around, trying to take these bolts out with the other 2 on the top gone, and then the transmission potentially falling on us. Okay, there's the other bolt. And now we'll take a look at the, I forget how the shifter works on this thing. The clutch fork, I should say. I think that's completely inside the bell housing. Yes, it is. So the clutch fork on this transmission is in the bell housing like most. Recently we've had a bunch of Fords in here and they have the bell housing as part of the transmission. It's all at one. You have to disconnect that. On a GM like this, you don't have to worry about that. You just take the transmission right out. All right, let's go in the back. By the way, I am going to have a note in the description about the clutch driver screw tools. I'll have a link for that on where to get those. I got mine on eBay. I'll try to find, I believe I saw some brand new for sale online. I'll get a link for that, either Snap-on or somebody else. If you're working on one of these old GMs, you're going to want to get those. And I also have a nice Snap-on ratchet here. I'll put a link in the description for this too. It was a little expensive, but these things work really well. It's an extra long handle with the plastic grip. It works really great, so I'll put that in there too. All right. I think this transmission's ready to come out. Ouch. That didn't feel good. There we go. It's coming out. Okay. That easy. Now we're going to lower her down, get it down to a safer level here. There is a lot of oil. I mean, a lot of oil. You can check this out here. You can just see it dripping down right here, coming out of the front of the transmission here or something. Something's leaking oil. I don't know if it's the rear main seal here or what. It looks like transmission fluid, but feels like transmission fluid, but something is leaking really badly here. I don't know, maybe it's possible the transmission was overfilled with oil. That's another thing that could have happened, and it's coming out through this front shaft right here. There's really no seal in here. It's just there's a gasket around here, but there's no seal in here per se, so I don't know. Sometimes there is a seal mounted in here. Maybe this seal is shot. I'm going to take a look at this before we put this transmission back in. But there you go. There's bring some light in here. There's the throwout bearing right here. And here's your clutch fork. And we've got to get this clutch out of here. And the neat thing about this, you don't have to take this bell housing off. You can actually sneak the clutch out from right in through here. So interesting design. You don't have to mess with anything. And so we're gonna get started on that. All right, everybody, so I quickly slid the throwout bearing out of the clutch fork up here. It just slides to the side and comes right out. And that's it. There's just the pressure plate and the clutch disc in here. So we gotta loosen all these bolts around here, and I gotta keep the engine from turning, so I'm gonna use this. I'll tell you, this long snap-on ratchet really makes things a lot easier trying to take things apart. 3/8 drive, it works really good. And I'm not being compensated by Snap-on to say that. I'm just giving you my own personal opinion. I want to try to take the tension off of this pressure plate here evenly. You don't want to just take all the bolts out all at once and just try to take them out. I try to take them out a few turns at a time. That's the way the tension comes off the motor. That's the way the tension comes off the flywheel and off the pressure plate, somewhat evenly instead of shocking it. The other thing you want to do with these bolts is be careful. These are a special shouldered bolt, as you can see. You don't want to use a regular bolt from the hardware store. You want to get this special bolt. That shoulder's on there for a reason, so it aligns right in that hole with the pressure plate and keeps that thing concentric. Okay, there's our last bolt. And our pressure plate comes out here like this. Here's our pressure plate. And the clutch disc is right here. It's kind of stuck on there. There we go. Had to go around there. And the reason the clutch was chattering is that it's got oil all over it. You might not be able to see it, but there's oil residue all over this clutch. And it's on both sides, it looks like. So this is why this was chattering. It just had oil all over it. You gotta have your clutch free of oil or else it will chatter. Okay, so I don't know where all this oil is coming from. It looks like the rear main seal might be not so good. I don't know if it's engine oil or transmission gear oil. I think it's engine oil. So it's quite a mess. Quite a mess. Yeah, I believe it's the rear main seal. Okay, so after we got the clutch and the pressure plate and the clutch disc out of here, now we have to take the flywheel off and get the flywheel resurfaced because the surface on there is, number one, it's got oil on it. I could just wipe that off, but guaranteed it's got marks or, you know, abrasions, things like that from over the years. We want to make sure that's Blanchard ground. You always want to get a Blanchard grinder to do that. Don't do it in a lathe or something like that. Always take it to a place that has a flywheel grinding machine. It's called a Blanchard grinder. It grinds in a circular pattern and it orbits. So it makes this really nice pattern and your clutch is gonna, you know, work really, really well. Got these tabs in here we gotta bend over. I think that's just about all of them. Now these are 11/16. Most flywheel bolts on lighter duty trucks are 11/16 socket, Ford, Chevy, most of them. You can see there's little sheet metal clamps here that go on, and there's a little tab right there in the corner that gets bent over to keep the bolt from coming loose. That's how they keep the bolt from coming loose while it's in the truck. Okay, that's the last bolt and retainer. And now we have to get the flywheel off of the engine. It's got two alignment pins to keep it from, to keep it in exact position so it's perfectly centered on that crankshaft and it goes on in the right direction. Gonna need a little pry bar here. Now when this thing comes off, you gotta be careful. You don't want it to fall. Comes out here, and here's the flywheel. You can see it's dirty and it needs to be Blanchard ground. You'll see what it looks like after I bring it back from Blanchard grinding. Okay, so we're back here with the Chevy, and I just got an update. The customer elected to fix the oil leak problem on this truck. So we're gonna take a look under here, and you're gonna see how oily this is. It's just tons and tons of oil. You can see it actually dripping right here off of the cross member. Just tons and tons of oil coming from the main seal, which is right up inside here. You got to get to it by taking the oil pan off here, and you can access the main seal. So I've got those parts on order, and now we're going to take this oil pan off. This is definitely going to get washed. Okay guys, so you hear me preach about we have tumblers here and we use reuse hardware, things like that. So I just want to show you real quick all the hardware from this 51 Chevy, and we're going to put them in the tumbler here. And this is the type of thing that you're going to want to keep and reuse. You got your old bolts. This is a flywheel bolt. Here's a nut. Here's a U-bolt for the drive shaft. This type of stuff can be, you know, reused and tumbled. All this stuff in here. This is the type of thing you don't want to tumble, all right? Lock washers, especially lock washers, things that are really not expensive or, you know, hard to get. You don't want to do lock washers, especially because these will break and crack when you go to put them back on, and it's a waste of time and it doesn't do anything for you. So get rid of this stuff. It's all no good. And if you have an old piece of hardware that you don't really need, like this old nut here, it's kind of beat up from the carrier nut for the drive shaft. I'm just going to get new ones. A lot of hardware, you know, certain things, especially it's out in the weather all the time, you're going to want to replace this if it's not, you know, in great shape. So that's what I want to talk to you about there. Let's go put this in the tumbler. Got a little R2-D2 here. all this stuff right in here. Give it some degreaser. Set it, forget it. We'll come back in about, I don't know, half an hour. That'll all be clean and in great shape. Another quick note here about items to put into a tumbler. Here's a couple examples that I forgot about here. You got old, seals and things like that. Obviously, you're just going to take stuff like this and throw it away, so that's a waste of time. But here's some shims for a main bearing cap, and these are made out of really thin sheet metal. Okay, this is like paper thin. It's just shim stock for adjusting the clearance in the bearing. You do not want to tumble something like this. This is going to get mashed up and broken. And here's another item that some people might not think you should tumble, but you could. Here's the throwout bearing. Now in this case, we're going to replace this throwout bearing, but I may throw this in there and just see what happens, see what it looks like when it comes out, because sometimes you can, clean up old bearings in these tumblers. It works pretty good. Okay, everybody, so I'm going to use a tool here to remove this pilot bushing. It's a grease style tool here, and it has a like a little thread, tapered thread here on the outside, and it just threads right into the pilot bushing, and then you put your grease gun on this end here, and the hydraulic pressure from the grease pushes it right out. You just thread this right in like this. And put the grease gun on. And this should come right out. You see it moving? Comes right out. Pretty awesome tool. And all you gotta do is clean up a little grease. Now I have a, we're gonna be putting the flywheel on today. I'm not gonna be doing the clutch, but just wanted to show you this throwout bearing here. I got a brand new one from a company that specializes in Chevy trucks. So this is going to be going in a little bit later once we get the clutch disc and the pressure plate back. And here's the new pilot bushing right here. And the pilot bushing goes in one way. So if you look at it, the back side here is pretty much flat. And you flip it around and you see this side has a radius on the ID. That's the side that faces out. So when the transmission shaft comes in later, it has a little bit of an alignment. It can kind of guide it in. If it's the other way, it's gonna be much harder to get it straight, get it aligned and put it in there. So you're gonna wanna have this curved radius side facing out away from the engine. You hear that change in sound where it goes from clunk clunk to clank clank. That means the bushing has been bottomed out in the crank there, and it's all set. It's in the right spot now. Okay, so the rear main seal is right here. It rides on this surface of the crank, so I need to push this seal out and push the new one in. So we'll see what happens here. I was told that I'll have to loosen the crank main bearings to get this to loosen up enough to get this out, but I want to see what happens. Okay, so I've got this tool here. It's a seal puller with a corkscrew on it. We'll see if this works. Oh, that worked. It's coming out. All right, I think I got it to move enough. If I grab this with pliers, there it goes. There goes the seal right there. Came right out with that seal puller piece of rope here. Okay, so the new seal is a half round. There's two halves here, and if you look at the seal, there's a lip on one side here, and it sticks up more on one side than the other. And it's just like a regular lip seal you'd put in, a one-piece lip seal you'd put into, say, a transmission case or something, and except it's in two pieces. So you want to make sure that that lip is facing out. So the lip is going to face out, just like a bearing to keep the oil and everything sealed. The lip is going to be out this way, not in towards the engine. And I was also told when you put this on to not put it on perfectly like this. You're going to want to rotate. You're going to want to rotate the seal a little bit to one side, just a little bit, so that when it goes back together, the seals, when you put the other cap on, the seals don't. They're supposed to be like this. You don't want them like that, and that can happen if you put them perfectly flat. So it's a little trick, just a slight clocking of the seal. I want to put some grease on that. I got this stuff at it's Dow Corning O-rings. This is a grease I got. It works great for O-rings. It's like a pink grease that comes out of here. It works great. I'm gonna put a little bit of this on this seal just to make this go on a little easier. The reason I'm using the silicone on this is because it won't swell anything up. It'll just, you know, sit on there. It's just a lubricant. That's it. see. I'll put that. Doesn't want to go. I think I'm going to have to release the main cap bearings a little bit and give this a little space. Just so everybody sees, we've got a celebrity here. This is Matt Firestone from Old Yankee Speed Company. He's here spending tons of money on Snap-on tools.
Snap-on truck.
He just got sucked into the Snap-on truck. How much did you spend again?
Like 5 and change.
Yeah. So. Which
is really nothing in the big scheme of things when you're talking about Snap-on. Like if I went to Harbor Freight,
yeah,
the back of my truck would be sitting funny right now. But you know, there's like 4 things on the front seat. But I got some free beer steins, so.
There you go. Yeah, you got the free beer steins. I mean, how can you say no?
Exactly.
Yeah. See, that's how it works. They got it figured out.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, he's going to enjoy those tools. Back to this.
Yeah, I'm going to run home. I'm going to get the dogs like straightened out. Have my coffee. I'm going to be down.
Okay.
So.
All right, man. See you in a bit.
Yep. I'm going to take the 40 out.
Okay. Hey. See what happens? He comes over here and I'm all distracted and now I lost all his time. It's all good. A little bit of a complicated setup here with this 1/16 with this oil pump. Just got to loosen this tube here out of the way. There we go. And the Snap-on guy got me a few weeks ago. Got this extra long 3/8 drive ratchet here with this handle on it. It's pretty awesome. I think I had it in another video, but yeah, it's it's a disease. What are you gonna do? Now we're just gonna loosen these caps. Okay, we don't need to take them down real far. Just want to loosen them so make this a little easier on myself. All right, so we loosen those up, and what that's going to do is it's going to allow this crankshaft to relax and come down. I can already see it's moved because the bearing up here is moved a little bit. So I think we're good now to try putting the seal back in. All right, let's see what happens here. Boy, that is tough to get to go in there. pull this crank down a little bit here. Might have to loosen up these bolts a little more. I really want to have to do these. All right, so I loosened up the mains in the front there. Try to get this thing to, oh, there it goes. It just moved. Now it came down. This thing should go in now. There it goes. Oh. Doesn't want to go. Now, I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this punch here to try to slide this in. You do not want to use a hammer to hit this because you're going to mess up the seal. But I'm just going to push gently. It doesn't want to go. I think I might leave that just like that and call it good. I'm supposed to have a little bit of a, relief there anyway. I would like it to go a little bit more though. I wonder if I could actually turn the crank here a little bit to get it to go. Maybe I'll try that. I'm just going to try to turn the crank here. Oh, no, it's hung up on the block. This seal is hung up on the block. I am going to try to tap it with a hammer gently. Very, very gently, just to see if it'll go. Okay, it's going. So I got the seal. Okay, that's good enough. So I want to have the seal protruding here a little bit. And then I'm going to put the other cap on. Okay, so we always talk about tumbling here at the shop, and you can see, I put these parts in here the other day for the Chevy, and look how this looks like brand new. Okay, I didn't have to sit there and clean and wire wheel. I mean, look at the threads. Everything's nice. This is great. We always talk about tumblers here. If you're doing a lot of stuff in your garage, get one of these tumblers. And this one is a Ratchet Adjust the Vibe. These are made in America and they're reasonably priced. I think they're $300 or $400. If you're doing a lot of, it might even be less than that. Don't buy the junky ones. They don't last. I know people that buy them and the motors burn out. Things don't work electrically. They fry. They get 2-3 uses out of them and that's it. This thing has been through the ringer hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, and it runs like brand new. It's great. So check out that Ratchet brand, and we're going to unload this thing now. Okay, so it says the torque spec is 50 to 65 on this, so I'm gonna make it 60. Dad, could you give me a hand with this real quick? Do you mind just holding this, holding that in there somehow to keep that gear from turning? There it is. All right, now I'm just gonna bend over these little tabs here, and that'll keep the bolts from turning. Thanks, Dad. There we go. Got it. Last one. All right. This is all set now. Torqued, and those little safety things are attached. Now we can install the clutch. Okay, so the book said 100 to 110 foot-pounds on these main bolts here, and so I did that. That's all torqued, and now we got to put the oil fill, the oil tube and stuff right back on here. This guy. Want to make sure this screen's in and this wire catch, because this thing was missing and sitting in the bottom. It wasn't missing, it was sitting in the bottom of the oil pan. This needs to be attached properly so it doesn't do that. So now it's on there correctly, it's not going to fall out. The screen goes up inside, it just keeps junk from getting to that suction tube. It's very important. All right, now we're going to start cleaning this and put the oil pan back on. So as you can see, I got the putting the gaskets on here with some RTV here and Permatex RTV. Everything's lining up correctly. We got the gaskets on, everything's good. All right, so I'm going to take a little brake clean off this flywheel. I want to make sure there's no grease and oil on this when you put the clutch back together. Okay, so we got the clutch and everything in here. We realized that we had to take the fork out here, the clutch fork. That's what the problem was, trying to put the pressure plate back in. Had some trouble, got everything lined up. We're going to take out our clutch alignment tool here now. So that's removed, and now the transmission is ready to go in there. And now I'm going to reinstall this clutch fork. It's very easy. You just slide this guy up through here, and we'll just get this lined up, and it goes in here, and you pop it into place like that. Now it's mounted on the ball, and then there's a rod over here you have to line up, and there's a flat machined on this threaded rod, and we got the nut on here, and there is a lock washer. All right, so we got this nut and washer. Tighten this guy up. That's nice and tight. I'm gonna come in here real quick and just clean off this shaft. Make sure there's nothing, no dirt or anything on here. And I put some grease on this before we put it in. Okay, so you got that lined up sideways, and we're going to come down some more. And we're going to come down a little more. Okay. Oh! Ow, I hit the clamp, hurt. We gotta come down some more. Okay. All right, now the transmission's gonna go. We've got one last thing to put in, and that's the throwout bearing. And the throwout bearing goes right in here like this. It slides right onto the shaft. And the bearing portion faces the fingers, and the big slot goes on those two ears just like that. And then the transmission shaft is going to go right through that hole and line with everything else. This chain off. And get this guy out of the way here. And now the transmission is totally supported. So tomorrow, we're gonna come back in and finish tightening those bolts and putting this whole thing together. It's good. Use this thing here with a hand pump on it on a 5-gallon pail. It works really good, and you have a little hook right here that goes into your transmission. All right, I'm gonna try out this truck here. Sorry about the glare there. I got the door open here, but we're gonna see what happens here. Okay. All right, so the battery charger's on. It's got some weird 8-volt battery in this thing. It's not a 6-volt, so it's fine. 6-volt charger works on an 8-volt. If you ever run into that, 8-volt, you can always tell 2 volts per cylinder or per cell. So there's 4 caps in a row, and the battery connections are on one side of the battery, just like a 12-volt battery. But there's only there's 4 round caps in a row. 6-volt is going to be 3 round caps in a row, obviously 2, 4, 6, and your connectors in the battery are going to be on an angle across from each other. Okay, so got the charger on here, and just going to fire this up, check the clutch real quick, see if she starts this time. Yep, got it. Pedal's messed up on this thing. Yeah. Oh yeah. Nice and smooth, just like it's supposed to be. Awesome. Okay. All right, so we're in the 51 Chevy, and we're going to take it for a quick test drive here. The clutch seems to be working well. Got it outside, and let's see how we do. Oh yeah, clutch seems to be working well. It's not slipping. This thing's geared really low, but this road is really smooth. Just wonderful, wonderful job here at this road. It's just awful. It's just wonderful. Yeah, it's awful. Okay, that's a little better. Shift's good, clutch seems good. Yeah, under a load it doesn't do anything. Under a load it doesn't slip, doesn't do any slipping, so that's good. Gotta stop for a school bus. Make sure you stop for school buses. This really isn't a bad truck. It needs a little bit of TLC. Really needs to be driven. That's the main thing. But overall, it's good. It goes down the road straight and it's good. Let's go, Green Arrow guy. Wake up. You know what? I'm gonna swing into my local O'Reilly's and pick up some sprayway for the shop. All right, everybody, so this has been the 51 Chevy transmission clutch job. I hope you guys like this. Please like and subscribe. I hope you learned something, and if you've got one of these trucks, maybe it'll help you out. And please keep watching videos and keep that old iron running. We'll see you next time.